Hola amigos, bien o no, saludos desde Medellín. Hoy el tema es motivación y cosas para hacer para ayudarte cuando perdiste tu motivación. So ese es el tema de hoy. So, hello from Medellín, another splendid evening here. The theme for today is motivation, or perhaps more correctly, some thoughts on how to stay motivated, or perhaps how to regain some sense of motivation. And this is because we have to be realistic that when we're trying to improve our language, this is a very long journey. So you can look at this more or less like taking a very, very long walk to the top of a very, very tall mountain. And obviously we can stop along the way, gain our breath and try again. But I think perhaps we would agree, most of us, that once we start this type of process, we're all trying to get to the top of the mountain. We're all expecting, one day I'll be fluent, I'll be so good at this language and all the cultural mores that go with it that you won't be able to tell I'm not really from here. That kind of thing, yeah? And that's quite possible, it's perfectly achievable, but it does take a bit of time. And clearly there are times when you might not notice really any progress in what you're doing. So you're doing the kind of the exercises, you're practicing bits of it, you're doing your day-to-day conversations, but you don't feel that you're moving forward at all. And that's where it gets a bit like, why? Why am I doing this? You know, what's the reason for this? And this could be particularly tricky if you're not in the kind of situation I'm in here in Colombia, in the sense that I've moved to the place where I need to speak the language. So I'm trying this out in a different type of way, in the sense of this for me is effectively a Spanish immersion. So if you're not in the happy position of being like a sink or swim situation, and you're studying the language for the day in the future when you're going to make the visit, how do you maintain your enthusiasm? How do you do that? Well, to be fair, even here, even in my kind of emergency situation I find myself in, there are days when really, I don't have the proper kind of mental focus, the energy or the enthusiasm to remind myself on why I don't understand the past tense in Spanish and what I should do about it. But also with that, in terms of maintaining some sense of enthusiasm or motivation, the first thing to do really is to remember why you're learning the language in the first place. So, okay, we all have a particular why. So for me, this is more a case of, I need to. Otherwise, I won't be able to communicate properly with my friends and neighbours here. But it's also to try and pick a positive aspect of that. I could look at this in quite a negative way and say, I'm impelled to learn it, otherwise it's not going to help. I won't better. But equally, I should look at it more in a positive way, which is what I try to do, in the sense that if I get just a bit better, the next time I have that conversation with my neighbour or my friend, I'll be able to tell them more things, I'll be able to share more stuff, it'll be more interesting. So if we try and focus on the more positive results you're going to get out of improving, rather than the pain of the practice, that's a different way to look at it. Equally, this does show us the importance of establishing good routines when we're feeling enthusiastic, when our energy levels are high. So in those weeks where it's going well, you've gone out, you've practiced the language, it's gone really great, everyone understood me, wasn't that good? That's the time to think about, well, what did I do? What was my prep like before I did that? How did I prepare for that? What kind of things was I doing that made it work. See how many of those you've established in your kind of routine. Try and establish that so it becomes almost like a non-negotiable. So in the same way that I do these videos every day, now some days I have better inspiration than others, this is true, but I know I'm going to make the video. So I might have to try harder to think of something like a new topic, or think of the way I'm going to say it or present it, but I know I'm going to do the video. So that part's non-negotiable. So try and look at the positive aspects of what you're going to get out of learning. Try and establish those kind of good habits of practice when you're feeling motivated. Don't try and do that on a day when it's all gone wrong. And if you need to, step away from perhaps some of the more technical aspects of it. Go back to something that you're more comfortable with. Look at the problem from a different direction. And persuade yourself in that way, by demonstration really. Well, look, maybe that went wrong, but I still understand this TV show when I watch it in the new language. And remind yourself how far you come. Could you have done that last year? Probably not, but now you can. So small things like that. Focus on the more positive aspects of it. And then try and give yourself achievable goals, like small wins in the coming days. Pick progressively more difficult things to do, but at the beginning just something really easy. Just add in an extra question when you're talking to people. Make that your question of the day or your question of the week. See how many different answers you get. See if you can understand that better. Small stuff like that will help boost your confidence, and then when you've persuaded yourself that, look, actually I can do some of this, so it's not going too badly. At that point, when you feel more positive, that's when you can review it, look at, okay, well, what are the good things I'm doing here? What type of practice is that I'm doing that's working well? Add that into your routine. And that should help cycle that type of positive motivation you feel. So when you wake up, you feel motivated, you feel that kind of impetus to keep going. So there we go, some thoughts on that. So wherever you are at the moment in your language journey, I hope you're not too despondent. I hope you remain positive and remind yourself in a short time you can achieve great things, really. I know my Spanish these last 2 years has improved a great deal, even if perhaps my study of it hasn't been as progressive as I would like. There's been lots of falling off the track with that, unfortunately, but I think my overall progress, and particularly my overall confidence, has improved. So I feel good about that. Anyway, there we are. Déjame saber en los comentarios, como siempre, how you're doing. I hope you're achieving great things. But for now, from Medellin, before the rain arrives, we'll say cheerio.